Well, this is my first YouTube video. I don't see a whole lot of coverage on it, especially on the CJAA engines. There's a lot of stuff with the older cars, but nothing. There's only one or two on the newer ones. So this car is Malone Stage 2, full dark side exhaust from turbo back, so you can guess what that is. So it has no emissions on it. Now, when you delete your EGR cooler, which I haven't, you have to block off. You can put your blocker in for your EGR, and then your tube sits here that blocks your oil filter, and that runs over. So you can take that out, and then you can put, let me get a light in there, a blocker plate on the end of the exhaust manifold. I ended up breaking a stud. It was an absolute nightmare. But then you still have the low pressure EGR side, which comes from your cooler and runs into the inlet of your turbocharger. You can take this front piece off here. You can take that front piece off, and then I ended up machining a plug for it. You can buy them online. I'll put a link for them. Mev Evo sells them. They're just like a aluminum plug that slips in there. I put some RTV on it, and then that blocks off the low pressure side of your EGR tube from your EGR cooler. I just left mine in. I haven't gotten to it yet. The car's been deleted for 60,000 kilometers. And then also you have your turbo outlet here, this guy. Now inside it's got a couple restrictive pieces in it, and you can buy aftermarket ones, but they're about $200 Canadian or so, and I'm too cheap to buy that. So you can take it apart and you can pop out your, this is on like from the charger side, this sits in there, you push on it, pops it out, and then the other side is somewhere else, and then you end up cutting, I use a 2.5 or 2 1/4 inch hole saw. You cut out the remainder, use a burr bit, and cut the rest of it, like smooth it all out, make it nice, and then that's clearanced. Here's your low pressure EGR tube. I just bent it out of the way because I took it out in the car the way you saw. Whole reason for all this was I ended up doing an alternator, a tensioner, which is alternator and tensioner, and the alternator pulley. Super common issue. Tensioner lets go, or the alternator pulley locks up, so then it's 1-to-1. There's no slip in it, and then tensioner eats itself. It broke the spring in mine, chucked the belt. So did that. While doing that, I had this off, all this off, intake tube, everything. And I'm like, I'll put in my dark side EGR delete. So I put the plate that's now over here on the end of the tube, and it was sat there and rattled, and then it ended up breaking the tube off right where there's like the flex right around here. So I was like, okay, well that's got to come out because now it's puking exhaust fluid, all exhaust gases underneath the hood. So then that's what sparked doing the blocker plate there. And all this, it's sort of while I had it off. When I go to pull the cooler, there's a coolant line that runs right here, runs down, runs into the cooler, and then the one that comes out runs up and runs to right there. So I bought a piece of 3/4 inch heater hose and some 2 clamps. This is 19 mil, so it's close enough. And the plan will be just to bypass, run it down and run it up and into the heater core once I get the car up on the hoist and taking the EGR cooler out of it, because now it's not hooked up other than coolant. Yeah, it's about it. And then on my air intake box, my dark side kit that I bought, those guys are super helpful. Super high quality downpipe. There is like a port here which is for this tube. And all this tube does is sit over the exhaust manifold. It gets bolted on and it just sort of sucks hot air. I don't see the need for it, why the car needs to have hot air pumped into it. So that piece came, I slid it over it, put a clamp on it, good enough. This is my daily. I'm not looking for maximum horsepower or anything. I just, reliability and, you know, less things on it, less things to go wrong. We'll take a look at the downpipe. If you haven't ordered one yet, they're super, super high quality, super, super nice. You can get down in there. I'm pleasantly quite happy with it. I deleted this car at 175,000. It's got 250 on it now, 255-ish. So yeah, Malone Stage 2, and then a DSG tune from Malone. Thanks.